All right, we're here today talking about a topic that everybody really needs to understand. Score killers. What are they? So identifying them in your game so that you can help play better golf.
Absolutely, and this is something Justin and I have talked about, even with Justin's game. And no matter what level player you are, these things are really important to be able to identify. So when you're playing around a golf and maybe keeping stats on how many putts you had or how many fairways you hit, rather than maybe tracking those, which are kind of soft identifiers of your skill level, tracking these 5 areas or score killers is actually a much more accurate way to determine how you're going to spend your time practicing to actually improve. So the first one is penalty strokes. That might sound really obvious, but if you're incurring penalty strokes every time you play, you're gonna have to learn to reduce those, whether that's off the tee or strategically, whatever it is that's causing those. If those are happening frequently, that's number one.
I was going to say putting, but it's interesting that penalty shots would be number one.
Yeah, penalty strokes are the number one killer to your score, because typically it's either stroke and distance or you're losing an entire shot due to that. Whereas, missing a putt from 8 feet, you might be missing out on kind of half a stroke on average. But hitting it out of bounds, that's really
now that
a
you
killer.
say that too, it's no fun putting for a 6.
That's right.
The last time I checked.
That's right. So that's number one. Number 2 is chipping twice on the same hole. I see that a lot here at Pine Tree. Our areas around the greens are quite challenging, but getting both your skill set and your strategy to a point where you're not chipping twice on the same hole. So learning to choose a shot you feel comfortable enough at least having a putt at it.
That's interesting too, yeah. So next time I short side myself, not necessarily thinking I have to get it close so I can one putt. Sometimes it's better just to play a little left of the hole or right of the hole just to hit the green, and maybe I can 2-putt from there and just make a bogey versus losing a double.
Exactly. So that's number 2. Number 3 is 3-putting from close range. So close range will vary based on your skill level, but I like to say inside 30 feet for your first putt attempt. If you're 3-putting regularly from that area, that's definitely a score killer and something you want to work on your speed control and your short putting. And those will add up. If you're 3-putting from long range, if you have a 60-foot putt and you 3-putt, that's actually going to happen more regularly than you think, even at the tour level.
Yeah.
And so hit the ball closer to the hole is sort of the solution there, rather than work on your putting necessarily. 4 is making 4 with a wedge in your hand. This is a pretty interesting one that most people don't think of. But if you have a sand wedge or a gap wedge in your hand from the fairway and it takes you 4 shots to hole out, you should be able to hit the green in 2-putt and get down in 3 there.
I think this is something that can help any player, is keeping a separate little note on your scorecard of the 4s with wedges. It's really eye-opening when you do that and to see that stat, and you'll see quickly how you're losing some shots. That one especially hits home with me.
Yeah.
It's almost like a game within the game on a hole.
Absolutely, and those are your scoring opportunities where you can even pick off some birdies. If you're in a spot where you've got a wedge in your hand, theoretically you can reach the green. You need to be actually picking off some birdies in that area and at least making pars most of the time. And then the last one, this one is really important, double bogeys without a penalty stroke. So you've hit it kind of off the beaten path a little bit and you decide to take this really risky shot and you hit a tree and it kicks backwards and you make a 6 or 7 on the hole, when really the smart play is to get it back in play, hit the green, and even if you 2-putt, you walk away with your bogey. And just playing smart when you are out of position and choosing shots that at least most of the time you feel comfortable you could pull off. Hitting that hero shot is fun when you're out with your buddies, but if you're really looking to improve your score, that discipline when you are out of position is something that elite players are really good at, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So those are your 5 score killers. So I would track these when you're out playing, and use that over time. If you have 4 or 5 rounds of golf even, that's a big enough sample size to say which of these are happening more regularly in your game, and maybe spend your time addressing that before you go and hit a bunch of 7-irons on the range.
It's great information. It's really something we hope that everyone will understand and utilize it to play better golf.
Absolutely.